like how you get involved with Prophecy DeFi, and let's talk about those kind of early origin stories. Or at least how you get involved, and then we'll go into kind of what your day to day, week to week looks like.
Yeah, well, I came across this company called Bucephalus Capital because I was researching to find investment issuers, because publicly traded investment issuers are a special little animal, because unlike a company that's in the mining business, for example, if you want that company that's in the mining business to get into the media business, it's a change of business. And so you would halt the stock and you would file a new listing statement, and it would be a long, onerous process. When you're an investment issuer, you can pivot and architect the investments without going through all of that process. And so we identified 7 or 8 investment issuers that look very inactive. And Bucephalus Capital was this one that we identified because it had a low stock price. It was trading at 5 cents. It had 30 million shares outstanding, $1.5 million market cap. It had no liabilities, and it had assets and investments of about $1 million. But the stock hadn't traded for weeks, if not months. And the company really was not making any new investments. So I just called the management of the company up and said, I've got an idea for it. Why don't you make me the chairman and CEO, and we'll take this into a new direction. And to my surprise, they said, well, that sounds like a good idea. We'll do that. So, and this was all done all over the phone. I never met the existing management and board. I spoke to them numerous times and told them about my background. And so they took a bit of a chance, I guess you would say. And that was March 2nd, where they appointed me as chairman and CEO of this company called Bucephalus Capital, an investment issuer. And so I quickly got to work. Me and my colleagues put in 1.25 million of new capital. And then we started to look around to determine what is the best market sector that we could invest in to get performance from this company. And certainly the decentralized finance space reminded me a lot of the early days of the internet, just like Econ Park, this company that I became chairman of back in 1997 or 98, and financing these early stage opportunities. And we took Econ Park from just a few $1 million market cap, as I said, to about a $700 or $800 million market cap, building a web services company and an internet incubator. It struck me that the decentralized finance sector had a lot of similar characteristics as the early days of the internet. And so I really focused on that. And so once you've got a focus as to what you want to do as an investment thesis, in this case, decentralized finance, then you go to work on finding the right people and the right associations and relationships. And you'll notice our first meaningful press release was April 28th. And that's when we announced that we entered into a service agreement with 9 Point Partners, which is $8 billion fund based here in Toronto. The co-CEO of 9 Point Partners is a good friend, 20-year relationship of mine, James Fox. And he had just recently set up a digital asset group within 9 Point Partners and had raised $400 million in a Bitcoin trust. So I knew he was interested in the space. And so I told him that I was chairman of this new investment issuer, that I was appointed into the decentralized finance space, and would they like to get involved? And so we entered into an agreement where they're our partner in this venture. Within the 9 Point Digital Asset Group, the person that heads that is a very talented young man named Alex Tapscott. Alex is known throughout the globe, literally throughout the globe, for his expertise in in crypto and digital assets. He wrote a book called Blockchain Revolution, sold 500,000 copies. It's been translated into 15 languages. He's done over 200 lectures around the world on crypto and blockchain. And so, as part of this deal with Nine Point, Alex Tapscott was appointed as chairman of our advisory board. So, right out of the gates, we've got a partner with as an asset manager, $8 billion under management. And we have as chairman of our advisory board, a true thought leader in the industry. Then we need to define our first transaction, and that's all in that same press release. We identified a number of companies, but one stuck out as a true leading edge, called Layer 2 Blockchain. That company is run by a very, very talented entrepreneur named Andrew Young. Andrew started a previous company called SportX. It's still operating. He built it from scratch. It's a decentralized finance application for online betting using cryptocurrencies. It's got a market value of about 700 million. He started it from scratch and built it himself. And so we sat down with Andrew and discussed what we were doing to become Prophecy DeFi, because at that time it was still Bucephalus Capital, migrating to Prophecy DeFi, and laid out our plan with 9 Point, with Alex Tapscott, with other people that we're bringing to the company. And we entered into an agreement to buy his company, Layer 2 Blockchain. And so that's in the press release of April 28th. And that transaction will be closing next week. So it was just Monday that the company was formally renamed Prophecy DeFi and now trading under the symbol PDFI. And as I said, next week we'll close the first transaction, Layer 2, as our first decentralized finance investment.
Yeah. All right. That's a crazy origin story. And we'll dive into it deeper. Obviously, we'll meet some of the other team members. I know we're going to do that in the
Yeah.
future. But I guess here, kind of as my last question for this little intro video is, John, what does your kind of day-to-day, week-to-week look like now as the CEO, of Prophecy DeFi?
Well, it's all consuming when you take this on, especially a public company. You have a lot of responsibilities as a public company. You've got to recruit a board of directors. You've got to recruit an advisory board. You have to keep up with all your public filings. We just held an AGM to go through the process of changing our name and appointing our board of directors and all the things. So there's a lot of logistical aspects to the job that are important. But of course, most of the time is spent in actually building the business. This all happened March 2nd. It's only, where are we? We're not even at July yet. So we're not 4 months into it. So in that 4-month period of time, we've done 3 separate financings. We've changed out almost the entire board of directors. We've created an advisory board. We've entered into strategic relationships with 9 Point. And yesterday we announced our strategic relationship with the Blockchain Research Institute. We will continue to do that, continue to add advisors, board members, strategic relationships. So that's that's the second aspect of the business. The third aspect of what I do on a daily basis is meet and identify opportunities for us to build a symbiotic business within the DeFi space. As I said at the outset, we're an investment issuer. We've announced and are about to close our first transaction in Layer 2, but there'll be other transactions. And so we are continuously looking and being presented with investment opportunities that will help the business grow for our shareholders.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, look, that's a good sum up. Extremely busy, wearing a lot of hats. Obviously, a growing business comes with a lot of jobs and roles that you have to do. But obviously, thanks so much for taking the time to do videos like this. And that's a great time to invite anyone who has questions, about the business. Of course, we're going to do a ton of videos. And please, if there's any videos that anyone watching wants us to do, any subjects they want us to cover, we'd love to kind of mix it in and cover some of these things going forward. But John, thanks so much for taking the time, and looking forward to chatting again next week.
You're welcome, and thank you for having me. And we will. Well, I'd like to have as a follow up, bring on Alex Tapscott, who has truly made his craft in this industry, and Andrew Young, who is the young, talented CEO of Layer 2. I don't think you'd meet two more knowledgeable people. As a matter of fact, we will be announcing shortly that a podcast between the two of them, so people can tune in and learn about decentralized finance on an ongoing basis. So I won't steal that thunder, but there's a couple of announcements coming on that front.
Awesome. Well, John, thanks so much for joining, and looking forward to covering some of these, going forward.
You bet. Thank you very much, Jason.